Okay. Did Snakes say what he was looking forward to the the most while he was out there?
No, I was surprised. I thought he was going to talk more about it, but I don't think he's even mentioned Sundance on the pod yet. To me, that he was just going to go out there, but he didn't really say. So I'm curious to get the feedback from him. Typically, when he comes back, we always do a recap episode just to kind of see what he saw, and I'm curious to see. We might try to see if I can get Ryan on too to kind of go over his.
Mm-hmm.
You just turn him loose, make your introduction, and just all right, Snakes,
It's
take
exactly,
it away.
it's exactly what we did. It was the episode was like the first one we did was I think it was Funkle Hipster, the Sundance Kid is what we did, and then he just he just came on and was just like, all right, so you were at a Sundance, fill me in, and he was just talking about like all the things that he did, and it was pretty cool.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Rudimentary podcast, the podcast where we take the basic things and make them difficult to understand. This is episode 19, I think. We'll say it is, but we're here. We're glad to be back. You're seeing a familiar face on the podcast. Funkle is still out and not available. So as always, we've asked and he's answered. Justin, how are you? First of all, thank you again for coming in. How you
You're
doing?
welcome. I answered the call, man. Things are going well. How are you guys doing? I love hanging out with you guys. I love being on the pod, so I appreciate you guys thinking of me.
Yeah, love having you on. I'm doing great. Doing great. I think we should say too that we always mention Funkle from the West Coast is okay
Yes.
with
Yes.
everything that's been going on out there. Funkle
Yes.
is fine, doing well. Actually, um, just taking some time away to get some stuff that he wanted to get done. So he'll be back. But yeah, everything is fine with Funkle. He is safe and sound from all the major happenings going on out in the Los Angeles area.
Yeah. Yeah, we talked about it quite a bit, and he was saying how crazy it was out there, but he's safe. I know that he did evacuate for a little bit, but yeah, he's good. Everything's cool on his end.
Good.
Yeah, we're happy he's doing well, and more importantly, we're happy he's taking the time to do some of the things that he wants to. At the end of the day,
Exactly.
and that's what it's all about, man. Find some stuff that you want to do. If Andy maybe had a favorite WNBA player that he could go and watch if she played close to where he lives, I mean, I'm sure he would take advantage of that option.
Yeah.
But
If that ever happens, I will do that.
I do know that Funkle was the only thing that he was really upset about was that he wasn't able to record in the chat about Caitlin Clark. That was the only real bummer that he
You
was
know what?
expressing to me.
I
So.
will send it. I've got some stuff, from
You should.
Indiana Fever Instagram page. I watched Caitlin Clark shoot 54 feet free or 3-pointers and hit 50 of them. So
There
I'm
you go.
getting
Yep.
my fix that way. So I'll share that with him.
That'll cheer him up for sure.
you will love it.
Doing it now.
We can call him right now and just have him on and just not even say anything and just play that, and that's it. See how
That might be dangerous. That might be dangerous. We might have to think about that. Get that bleep button ready. There it is.
I wanted to it's our second episode of 2025. Didn't really talk about this last episode, but my daughter, who's amazing, she humors me a lot. We have very, very similar personalities. She is actually competing at the state competition for performing arts and theater. It's her third time out of four. being part of her theater troupe that is down at the state competition. So I went and surprised her. I drove a combined almost 5 hours
Wow.
to see her perform, probably 7 minutes, but that's what dads do. My mom and dad, countless trips to wrestling when I wrestled in high school, that it'd be one match or two, and that was it. I'd wrestle the first one. There's 14 weight classes. I'd wrestle the first one, and they'd just sit there through the next 13 weight classes. But yeah, so as a parent, you do these things, but it gave me great joy to see her. Anyways, but back to that, for Christmas, she made me a couple gifts, and
Look at that.
that's right.
Oh,
So
very cool.
Awesome.
Very
Oh.
cool.
Look at that. You got to drink it. Yeah, you got to show it off too.
that's right.
Do the
I
whole
will
Wayne's World thing.
for all the Caitlin Clark haters.
Yeah, I don't remember being asked permission to use that logo. I'm gonna have to. We're gonna have to.
Mm,
Have to have a talk.
yeah.
Call your niece. Let her know about what is it? Trademark infringement.
Infringement. Absolutely. Yeah,
Or at least send you one.
we'll talk.
Yeah, at least send you one at the very least.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can be. I'm easy. I can be bought.
Yeah. Yeah.
Residuals. Yes. Excellent. I hope you guys have been doing well. We've talked about that. You know who else is doing well?
Ooh.
The NFL teams that are left.
Oh.
Justin, I know you are a huge sports fan.
Oh, the biggest.
Yeah. Sports ball. Let's
Sports
recap. The NFL playoffs are in high gear. We're down to the final 4 teams. In the NFC Championship, we've got a familiar face in Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles.
Mhm.
And then we've got the new sheriff in town. That's right. Rookie QB Jaden Daniels for the Washington Commanders has put on just an amazing rookie season, but an even more amazing playoff. They went into, and Andy, and you were loving this one. They went into Detroit and just took it to the number 1 ranked Detroit Lions and beat them to advance to this NFC Championship. On the flip side, please stop me if you've heard this before. It's Patrick Mahomes versus Josh Allen.
Who's that? Who's this Mahomes guy?
I don't know. He's quarterback. It says here.
Is he the one dating that famous singer?
Ooh, close. He throws the ball to that
guy. Okay, so they're associated.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yep.
He plays for Taylor Swift's favorite team.
We'll talk more about her later.
There you go.
So, first off, Andy, I want to know what gives you more joy. Is it Aaron Rodgers and the Jets cruising to I believe it was a 4-13 record, or was it the hype, the buildup, the juggernaut that was the 15-2 unstoppable Detroit Lions falling on their face in not even the NFC Championship, in the NFC divisional round? Please take it away.
As long as Aaron Rodgers is in the league, his failure will always be my greatest joy. And probably even when he retires. I can't stand him. I may have to look up to see what he's doing afterwards and then hope that he fails in whatever that is. I want Aaron Rodgers to fail for the rest of his life.
That's so funny.
Yeah, there's nothing more than that. Not the inevitable end of the Lions every year not winning the Super Bowl, which anybody who you got to feel bad for Lions fans and Browns fans, because I know every year they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. It's just not going to happen. No matter how good a year they have, they're Detroit. They find a way to screw it up. Same thing with Cleveland. Aaron Rodgers sucks. Next.
There it is. We're going to do this one early. It's 9 minutes and 30 seconds into this. Your boy, Josh Orr, huge Lions believer the last couple of years.
And I think if I went back and look in the text, I could tell him the same thing I just said. They're Detroit.
Yeah. I was going to ask, what was his reply? That checks out.
Oh, it's a new year. No, man, they've got it. Yes, he was drinking the Kool-Aid the last couple of years. He was kind of quiet at this playoff game as we were texting back and forth. Noticeably quiet.
Hmm.
Justin, what about you? Did you catch any of the football highlights?
So no, but as a master sports ball fan, I thought wasn't Rodgers injured? Like what happened? Is that last year? Was that recent? Am I?
That was last year.
I know this. I meant for the people that are at home. As a
Yeah.
sports ball guy, I know, but I was
No,
just
he
trying to
came
throw-
out game one, lasted about what 3 minutes,
Yeah, and did something to his knee or something, right?
blew out his Achilles last
Yeah.
season. Yeah, so
Yep.
that
Huge trade that cost the Jets a
everything,
lot. Yes.
everything. They'll
Yeah.
be paying for that for years.
Yep.
So yeah. So he's
this
played
year-
this year though, and
Oh,
he
he's
just
played this year, if you can call it that. He's been
showing up.
garbage, which is
Oh,
awesome.
it was miserable. But he was on Pat McAfee a lot, and he did have a Netflix documentary. So
Oh well, so I mean,
it's
all
a
the
set.
greats go to Netflix, so that's cool.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch it.
Can't wait for his stand up next.
Mhm.
Jeez. That's what McAfee's working with him. Hey, Aaron, this is how you got to deliver. McAfee, he's in his own world of controversy with Colts fans. I read the statement. I mean, sure, it was maybe a little bit direct, but I didn't see anything
I
wrong.
didn't hear it. What happened?
So this was a couple weeks ago at the end when the Colts, all they had to do was win and they're in. They lost. And he came out and issued a statement. He said, they basically, this is what he expected from him. And he talked about locker room culture and the coaches. And, he said, you can't expect a different result when your locker room culture is poor. You've got guys that aren't playing together as a team, things like that. And so, a lot of Indianapolis fans, which is crazy, but a lot of Indianapolis fans took that to heart. And there was a lot of, I guess, vitriol on his Facebook, on comments, on social media, things like that. And
Did they watch the Colts this year?
Well, that's
What are they
literally
mad
I was
about?
getting- yeah, that's exactly what I was getting ready to say. So, as like a hockey fan and watching the Sharks, like if you are on a Facebook group, that's all that you see is people saying how frustrated they are, and players are saying that. So I don't think it's not like it's new information if a player comes out and says, yeah, like it's a negative atmosphere and you're going to expect negative play. I mean, that's exactly what fans are saying. I don't imagine that the fans are hardcore against that. They must be frustrated too. I don't know what the problem is.
Yeah, I think
Well,
the problem with the Indianapolis. Go ahead, Trev.
yeah, he loves Indianapolis. He played, that was his career. Indianapolis, and he does. He loves the Colts. Maybe not the ownership, that,
Right.
but the name, what it stands for to him, what it meant for him. And of course, he played at a time of great success with the Colts, the Peyton Manning years, Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne years, those things like that. So he was very used to the highest levels of success. And I don't think he was saying anything wrong. But Andy,
He
go ahead.
wasn't directing any of that negativity towards the fans, right? It was just the team's atmosphere and how they're playing as a whole, right?
Right. And the fact that
so-
in the biggest game of the regular season, that they basically came out and laid down and didn't do anything.
I think a lot of Colts fans are delusional these days. From they had 20 years of Peyton Manning, thereabouts, and then they went into Andrew Luck, who before his surprise retirement, they didn't have anything to worry about at quarterback for years,
Mhm.
and now the question marks are there, and they don't know how to handle it.
Yeah.
I mean, Anthony Richardson seems like a fantastic guy. I mean, just he's a community guy. He does the right thing. Says just a guy that there's guys in the NFL that you never want their names in the news.
Mhm.
Because if their names show up in the news, it's for nothing good. There's certain guys that they just don't make good choices. But Anthony Richardson, by all accounts, has been a stand-up guy down there in Indianapolis. It's just at this point not been able to go ahead, live up to the unrealistic expectations of Colts quarterback.
Yeah.
That the fans have.
Yeah.
They've just been babied, and had a rough few years with the guys that have come through there.
Yeah, and you had expectations for him, but they were unrealistic. The guy completed less than 50% of the passes in college. 49.2. You draft him in the top 5. I think he was picked 5.
Because he has a big arm.
Yeah. Yep. And he's a big guy that can run. And
How many times has a big arm guy won?
Yep. Jamarcus
And the Colts have done it a couple times. Jeff
George.
You know, I mean, that's Jamarcus Russell, not the Colts, but had a huge arm.
Yep. Could throw 6+ yards from his knees.
Yep. Yeah. So
that comes in
biggest arm isn't always the way to go.
Yep. And just to recap, I'll read you this real quick. This is what he said. He said, "I've said what I believe to be the truth about the team, and a bunch of Colts fans on the internet were trying to get me booed out of the city," McAfee said. "Current players who have won nothing during their entire tenures started using me and my face to try and paint me as the enemy in the city I've committed my life to. And in the end, everything went just like I expletive that starts with F said it would."
Double down.
Moments, everybody with a brain knew they'd crack, and they did. A blind person could see the red flags on this team. Work ethic questions never happen on good teams. Preparation, commitment questions never happen on good teams. Late to meetings never happens on good teams. Late to or skipping treatment never happens on good teams. The franchise QB tapped out of a game on 3rd down in the red zone because he was tired. Never happened in the history of the NFL.
I see nothing wrong with that. I mean, everything he said is true. That seems like a very true statement.
Yeah, well, it's 2025.
Yeah.
People hear things that they don't like, and immediately it's you hate me, or you. I guess a guy who actually played football probably doesn't know anything about locker room culture.
Exactly.
Or the people that are complaining clearly aren't on any kind of Colts Facebook group page, because that's very mild compared to the stuff that you see on team football or team pages on Facebook.
on anything, right? On any fan page.
Yeah.
Star Wars, you can find it there. I mean, anything. You can find the haters everywhere. I'm one of them.
Yeah.
Yes, you are.
I agree that there should be some kind of sense of positivity, but if there are issues that aren't being addressed, then you have a platform to express those issues. Why would you not say, hey, this is why? You guys want to know why we're not winning or not performing well? These are the things that are coming up. And that's true. If you're not going to show up on time and you're not going to play, the whole game, then you can't expect to win. So
yeah, and the fact that he's still passionate about the team that helped him out. Indianapolis is a small market NFL team, but the fact that McAfee is national, he's huge. People love him. His following is huge, but the fact that he still takes time to talk about them and things like that, just shows his commitment and desire for that team to succeed. On the other side, we've got Mahomes and Josh Allen, a very familiar AFC championship. They've met, I believe this will be the 3rd time in the AFC championship. They had the dramatic 12 seconds, was it, that Mahomes got the ball back and needed a field goal, and 2 passes later, they kicked a field goal, go to overtime, and essentially beat the Bills in an unbelievable game. But Mahomes has not lost to the Bills in the playoffs, so maybe 3rd time's a charm. Andy, did you see any of? We had Chiefs Texans, and we had Bills Ravens. Lamar Jackson coming up just short, letting his frustrations out in the press conference.
But those frustrations, to credit to Lamar Jackson, those were about himself.
Yes.
Those frustrations were not aimed. They clipped they cropped the sound bite and tried to make something out of it. Lamar Jackson was mad at himself. He wasn't throwing anything at any of his teammates.
Yes. Never once set up anything to Mark Andrews, who had
but
2.
That's what people tried to make it out.
Yep. You have to get clicks. You have to, in today's
hold on to the ball.
Any of those games.
I watched Ravens game. You and I have a standing bet. I bet you that Lamar Jackson will never win a Super Bowl as a starting quarterback.
Man, I thought this was the year.
Yeah, it just, I don't know. Every year they build him up. How great he is. A lot of times, like they did at Aaron Rodgers, how great. But I remember being from Indiana and, catching a lot of Colts games. I enjoyed watching Peyton Manning play. I'm a Bears fan, but, you saw all the Colts games in Indiana. And uh, it was a knock on Manning forever. Can't win the big game. Can't win the big game. And, you don't see as much of that knock being hurled around. You will now.
Oh yeah,
That, especially if he wins the third MVP and no Super Bowls.
no Super Bowl appearance even. Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, you
Yeah.
got, you can blame a guy dropping the ball in the end zone all you want, but
Mhm.
I mean, at the end of the day, you should get to the big game. So I did watch that one. I didn't watch any of the Texans game. I read about it, highlights and whatnot.
and you look at obviously the narrative around the Chiefs is the penalties, and you don't want to hold too much as far as that goes. Like I watch football. I would love defensive games. I'd love a 14-7 game, a 14-10. Obviously, that's
You're
on
the
TV.
one.
Yes. But you look at two of the penalties that were called against the Texans. Did it matter in the end? Who's to say? But the Chiefs turned it on the second half. But you had a 15-yard unnecessary roughness penalty on a hit on Mahomes where the two Texans hit each other and didn't touch Mahomes. And then you had another one where Will Anderson, pass rusher, comes in, arms up, bumps into Mahomes, and there's another 15-yard penalty called for unnecessary roughness. Dude came in, arms up, chest into the shoulder, and yeah. So that's always going to be the narrative. Whenever somebody's very, very successful as Patrick Mahomes has been in his very young age, you're going to have that, and things like that are going to be amplified. Missed calls, blown calls, bad calls, favored calls, what appear to be favored calls. You had it with Tom Brady. Obviously, the Patriots did a lot on their own. Deflategate, the taping of the practices, things like that. Not that Brady had any. Well, he might have had something to do with Deflategate, but the recording, things like that. But whenever somebody has an extreme level of success, and you combine that with Travis Kelce's girlfriend, who also is a big part of the the broadcast whenever she's in the stadium. It's just sad that that's the narrative that comes out of some of these games. But he won again. He's in another AFC championship, and you could be looking at, what is it, number 4 if he wins another
Mm.
if he wins another Super Bowl
Before the age of 30.
Yeah, before it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And he could enter, you said it yourself, he could enter Tom Brady talk. If he wins this one, obviously Brady has 7. He's got 6 with the Patriots, but more importantly, 1 with a different team, which could be the deciding factor if they both end up around that 6, 7.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to enter that. He's got to get 7.
I mean, even if he does win number 4, it's going to be overshadowed by the fact that Travis Kelce will propose. They win the Super Bowl.
You heard it here first, folks.
Calling it now.
Under Steeler.
Calling it now.
You just ruined Travis Kelce's plans. He's going to listen to this podcast.
Son of a! I knew it. How did this guy know? This sports ball guy knows. What the heck?
Yeah, that's it.
Justin, as a huge sports ball fan, do you, when the playoffs come, obviously you're in the minority when it comes to not watching. Do you watch, for example, Super Bowls, even if it's for the halftime performance or the commercials? Do you watch anything football related, as far as something where you carve out time for it?
We'll watch the Super Bowl just out of curiosity. I don't really have any allegiance to any team, so it's more or less if we're going to like a Super Bowl party, or I know like a lot of my coworkers they'll have like a text change where they're talking about it. So, I might watch it just so I can be a part of the conversation, but I'm not really, that's pretty much it. I mean, if the game is on TV or at a sports bar or something, I'll watch it, but I kind of like being a free agent and being able to just watch whatever and cheer for whomever.
Are you excited about halftime show this year?
Yes, I'm extremely excited. Who's performing in the halftime show?
It's Kendrick Lamar.
Oh, ooh, That's gonna be
Yes.
fun. That's gonna be exciting.
Yes.
Oh man, you think
On
Drake will be at
another
the game?
podcast, you guys will be discussing that young man down the road.
Yeah, we talked about him a little bit. One of the last episodes we did, or upcoming episode, we mentioned him briefly. But that'd be interesting. I don't know. I think it's gonna be a good show.
I'm
What if
gonna
Drake is there? Oh, what if Drake is there? Oh man,
He hates the Drake.
maybe that'll be the halftime show. It's just a boxing match between
Just
him and Drake.
both entourages just meet in the middle.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Andy, are
No,
you
yeah.
excited for Kendrick Lamar? I know you like, you're a big music guy. You like some of the halftime shows in the past. Will you be watching the halftime show?
This shouldn't be any kind of controversial take, but it probably will be to some people.
Nice. I'm excited.
I think hip hop is great studio music.
Mhm.
It sucks live.
No.
It is
Yeah.
a lot of guys. I tried, when this Travis Scott Astro World thing was going around, and it was like the huge tour, and so I'm like, I'm gonna get on YouTube. I'm gonna check this out. I didn't know that you needed to have a backing track to rap.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy, he's and a lot of it's yelling into the mic, and it's like people are hyped, they're loving it. People are paying a lot of money to go to this show, but I'm like, I could not get into it. Love me some, especially older hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
But and some of the new stuff, as long as it's not mumble rap, which I think is the worst thing to ever hit the airwaves.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is complete garbage. But hip hop that in its form as it was coming up is great in the studio, but I have yet to see anything live that I can think of. Maybe I'll go back to YouTube and see, look up greatest live rap performances or something like that, and maybe I can be swayed that way. But it'll be interesting to see what happens here.
I'm with you. So like I know there's a couple, like the Roots were with Jay-Z for one. There's like a
they
MTV
unplugged.
That's fantastic.
That is
great.
But
That'd
that wasn't five guys with mics
Right.
up on stage hyping, five hype men and yelling into the mic.
So we went, Taylor, my wife, and a few other friends. We ended up going to Bonnaroo one year, and Eminem was one of the headliners. And so this was like right after his like Rap God album and all that stuff. So we obviously went and saw M perform, and perform is a very loose term. I mean, they have the backing track, and they played Rap God. Word? Yeah, they played Rap God, and he didn't even rap it, because they have a hype man that's just yelling in every other word that it's just not. It was very disappointing. So I'm sure there's some great ones out there, but I'm with you. Like, I think older hip hop, like I bet you like you could find some pretty cool Tribe Called Quest and some Roots live performances that are fantastic. But I don't know. I'm hoping. I mean, well, I guess wasn't it the last Super Bowl where they had like 50 Cent and Snoop and all that? That was pretty good, all things considered.
I was gonna say, maybe I was blinded by the memories, the old days. But yeah, that the Dre and Snoop, that was fun. It was fun.
I think could be some nostalgia bias.
Was it Kendrick Lamar in that too?
No, Anderson .Paak was.
Was it him? Okay, I couldn't remember.
It was Eminem, Snoop, Dre, 50 Cent, and I think Anderson .Paak was there as well.
Okay. Yeah.
He's great, but still, I'm with you.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't pay Travis Scott prices for what they were, but to each their own. He sold a lot of tickets.
I will say, just to kind of end on my final notes on that, I bet that Kendrick Lamar's would be pretty good. I feel like the way that his style of hip hop, the way that he raps, it's a lot more heady. I can see him being one that actually will perform the songs the way that they should be, and not just randomly yelling and running around the stage and having a hype man. I bet his performance would be great.
One of the things that can change my mind is if he's up there doing his thing by himself without four other people yelling into mics.
Yeah. And I bet you'll find that too with some of his music. Yeah. Seriously. And just randomly yelling, yo, yeah. Oh,
yep.
What? Yeah, you're not contributing.
Yeah, I never understood that. But I mean, I like, I don't know, maybe if I was famous and was up on stage, it's like, bring up all your friends on stage,
Yeah.
and everybody gets a mic, and you just kind of, the songs, yell something every 4 bars.
Just do the Billy Joel move. Have the audience sing for you, and you just sit up there and just nod along. That's what you got to do. There it is. Yeah, you guys know the song. You sing it.
Yep.
That's why you're here, right?
Yeah. You guys are here. Sing us a song. You're the piano man. Not today. It's you guys.
Well, he's a piano man, not the singing man.
Yeah. You know the song. Come on.
Yeah, so he can play the piano.
That'd be great. That'd be the best thing ever.
Moving almost off this topic, wanted to, because it should be noted. We talked about the NFC Championship. We had a Super Bowl. Was it 3 years ago?
Yes, we did.
Philadelphia versus Kansas City.
There was a Super Bowl.
Probably
was
for the
one.
last 50 years or so, I believe. But
in a Super Bowl. So we could have Eagles, Chiefs again. But I wanted to call out, we talked about it earlier, Jaden Daniels, the rookie quarterback for the Washington Commanders. And those of you that follow football know the Commanders have been a laughingstock for a while. The whole Dan Snyder ownership, he's gone. There's new ownership, new coach, Dan Quinn, former defensive coordinator of the Seattle Seahawks. That's right. But Andy, you brought up a very, very good point. And as a Bears fan, the Bears took Caleb Williams, and just after that, Jaden Daniels. And I said, man, watching this Detroit game, I said, man, remember the Bears could have had Jaden Daniels. And do you remember what you replied?
Yeah, they would have ruined him. He would have. If Williams would have went to the Commanders, you'd be talking about him. The Bears could have had Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes would have not been the Patrick Mahomes of Kansas City had he went to the Bears. And it all has to do with ownership and who's running the team, down to the coaches they put in there. I think for years I wrote Andy Reid about not being able to get things done in Philadelphia, and but the guy knows quarterbacks. So, it remains to be seen. Is Patrick Mahomes anywhere else?
Yeah.
Not in Chicago, I guarantee you. He isn't doing that in Chicago. So the Bears, to their credit, this week went out and got the absolute best available coach this offseason.
Yes.
One that a bunch of people wanted. And it's because he sees something in Caleb Williams that he thinks he can do. I mean, he Jared Goff was born again in Detroit.
Yes, he was. Yep.
And so, thank God the Bears didn't wait 2 or 3 years to try and fix this thing. They're getting that stuff out of the way now, and I think you're going to see a different team, which if you look at Caleb Williams' numbers, they're not bad. They're comparable to what Jaden Daniels.
I have them up right now. Yeah, we've got Jaden Daniels, 3,568 yards on the season. Caleb Williams, 3,541. So 27 yards more. Caleb Williams, very, very respectable. 20 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Jaden Daniels, 25 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. The big difference is Jaden Daniels was sacked 47 times. Caleb Williams was sacked 68 times. And that just goes, the wear and tear on a quarterback. Quarterback rating was another big one, 100.1 for Jaden Daniels, 87.8.
Yeah, when you're running for your life, that'll do that.
Blow the whistle. All right. So before we move on, sports ball fan over there, I'll give you a minute to pick your winners. Remember, it's Commanders Eagles versus Bills Chiefs. Andy, who you got going to the Super Bowl?
I'm never betting against Patrick Mahomes. The Chiefs are going, and
it's in Philly, but it's an unplayoff-like atmosphere. It should be in the high 30s.
Oh,
yeah. I think the stage is too big, and those lunatics in Philadelphia in the stands are too much. on the big stage. He'll get another chance, but it's not his year. The Birds.
There it is.
Mm.
Chiefs, Eagles. Justin,
Yeah.
world, or the 5 people that listen to the show are
Yes.
waiting
Yeah.
for your prediction.
Okay, so here it is. I'm gonna lay it out for you. Very simple. One particular name, and that's all I need to say. Mark Wahlberg. Eagles are going. I saw the movie. I know what's going to happen. Mark
Okay.
Wahlberg with the Eagles will beat the Commanders. I just now found out that the Commanders are a team. So what does that tell you? And then yeah, the Chiefs. I think so because I need that proposal to happen. So that's what I'm saying.
The NFL needs that proposal.
Lot.
Yeah, seriously.
Lot.
Yeah, seriously.
I am on the AFC. I'm like you guys. I don't bet against the Chiefs. I may not, think they're going to win, but literally when I'm making bets, I will stay away from a game if I don't think, if I'm unsure. So I got Chiefs, but even though we've got an offensive tackle ruled out, we've got one of their big defensive tackles, Deron Payne, injured and ruled out of the game. Jalen Hurts over on the other side on the Eagles hasn't really impressed me this much in the playoffs. It's been the Saquon Barkley show. I'm going to say the magic continues. I've got Commanders and Chiefs in the Super Bowl, a rookie versus the greatest quarterback of his era. It's going to be fun. So
That's a better story, at least.
Yes.
That's a fun story.
Yep. So,
But it's wrong.
Whoa. Okay.
Womp, womp.
Well, moving right along.
Hey, my joke landed, right? Like Mark Wahlberg was for the Eagles in that movie?
Yeah.
Is that right? All right.
Yeah.
Cool. I thought.
Yeah.
I started
Absolutely.
doubting myself.
No, come on, sports ball.
It was mainly confirming for the audience.
We've got other big news. That's right. Last episode, we talked about Grammy nominations, and we talked about Beyonce's 13 in a single year versus Taylor Swift's 7th Album of the Year nomination. But now it moves over to the movie front, and the Oscar nominations came out, and we talked about it pre-show. I'm looking at these best pictures.
Mhm.
All right, we're gonna go Anora, of course, The Brutalist, A Complete Unknown. That one I have heard. Conclave, I will be watching. I believe Beth bought it on Prime. That one I definitely will be watching. She just bought it this weekend. Dune Part 2, Amelia Perez, I'm Still Here, Nickel Boys, The Substance, and Wicked. Hey, that one I know. Justin, we're going to start with you. Of those movies I just listed, how many have you seen?
One.
And it was Dune Part
2. Yeah.
Will you bring the popcorn bucket out for the Oscars?
If it wins. Oh, buddy, let me tell you.
All right.
No, I've seen Dune Part 2. I was planning on seeing Complete Unknown tomorrow.
Nice.
Wicked, my wife has seen. I have not seen. Yeah, that's pretty much about it. I know Funkel, he watched The Brutalist and was not impressed with The Brutalist. So
a
little
little
so that'll tell you something.
We've got a little touch base on Funkel coming up here in a second. But Andy, how many of the Best Picture nominees?
I've seen none of them. Not a one. This is the first time that I've never seen one of the movies for Best Picture. Yeah, hands down, none. I will get around. I do want to watch A Complete Unknown.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll watch Dune 2 at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, man. I just don't know how much if the movies are ever going to recover, from the whole COVID thing. It's just been kind of I don't know. I see these movies and I'm like, I couldn't even tell you what some of them are about.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it used to be, it used to be I could, at least say, oh yeah, I've seen the previews for that.
I don't think I've seen the trailers from a majority of these.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah. I think there are, I want to say 4, but definitely 3 that I think are in the running. The other ones I'm not sure about. Trav, what about you? Where are you at on these?
I'm with Andy. I have seen absolutely 0 of these.
Mhm.
My
This is a
daughter,
great topic.
Fantastic.
Mhm.
Quality.
who's a big theater person, as we talked about, does not want to watch Wicked. She's not a fan of the books. She's not a fan of the musical. Has no interest in seeing the movie. So that gets me out of that one.
That's really interesting because all of my theater friends, I was in theater in middle school and high school, and all of my theater friends were big into seeing Wicked, whether it was the actual musical, like in Chicago,
Mhm.
and this movie specifically. People were excited about it. My wife, who is not a Wicked fan, or at least prior to this, went to see it with some friends who had no interest prior to that, loved it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. I'm surprised that your kiddo's not interested.
Yeah, I'll definitely watch it. I think it's on. I can watch it now. I mean, I've got nothing against it. I think, um, I mean, it dominated Broadway for years, didn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's got probably one of the more iconic, posters.
Mhm.
Yes. Yep.
I mean, I couldn't told you anything about it, but I could have pointed the poster out before the movie came out.
Right.
So
And
yeah,
the highest musical in motion picture history.
Yeah.
is it?
Yes. Yep. And so that one gets me out of that one. I know Demi Moore, didn't she win the Golden Globe for The Substance?
Yeah, yeah. I'll pull for Demi Moore.
Mhm.
Yeah. There you go.
I will too, a couple times.
Dune, I'll watch. That one I will watch. Like I said, Conclave, by the next time we record, I will watch that. I'm very interested in that. It looks very good. And when Beth said she wanted to watch it too, sweet. That's a movie night. So excited about that one. Let's kind of dive more into these to see if anything comes out of it. So performance by an actor in a leading role, Adrian Brody in The Brutalist. This is where we talk about Funkle. Probably maybe 6-7 episodes ago, Funkle made this statement when he first saw the initial teaser. Timothy Chalamet will win the Oscar. He said will be nominated, and then he changed it to win the Oscar for A Complete Unknown. Called it long before the movie even opened. I don't know if he saw, like an advanced screening or anything like that, but he called that. So Timothy Chalamet for A Complete Unknown, Coleman Domingo for Sing Sing, Ralph Fiennes for Conclave, and Sebastian Stan for The Apprentice. Now, it looks like Sing Sing is the only movie not nominated for Best Picture. Does that change anybody's? Have they seen Sing Sing? Couldn't tell you what it's about.
Nope.
Same.
All right, perfect. But you guys remember that. Justin, you heard the episode. Andy, you were with us.
Yeah.
But yeah, Funkle, hey, he's still alive for betting the farm on that one.
And I think he's right, man. I think he's right. I saw the trailer for it, and I can't remember what movie I was at, but I saw the trailer, and I was like, oh, 100%. This is winning everything. This is such an incredible trailer. And to find out that Timothy Chalamet Ding Dong did all the singing.
I love that
Oh
guy.
my gosh, dude. Have you guys listened to the soundtrack?
No,
Dude, it's on Spotify. It's so good. I mean, I'm really excited. And according to Funkle on his TikTok obsession, he was talking about how Joan Baez plays a pretty big role into it, and he was talking about how this movie led people to in looking into Joan Baez's catalog and actually trying to familiarize themselves with it. So I think this movie was one that was kind of a sleeper for people. I think people were going in very low expectations, and all the reviews I've heard about it have been fantastic. So I think Funkle's right, man. I think Paul Muad'Dib as Bob Dylan. I think he's going home with it, man.
yeah, no, I do want to see that one.
He did also say that Sebastian Stan in The Apprentice was really, really good too, but I don't think it's enough to topple Dylan.
The Apprentice was also not nominated for Best Picture. My apologies on that. But again, haven't seen it.
Did we have a pick on Best Picture? We brought up did we say who we thought was winning that?
I am going to say with absolute no certainty at all, I am going to go. I'm going to say Wicked. Why not?
I think the buzz around Wicked is going to play a pretty big role into it. I would like not seeing it, but I don't think Dune's not going to make it. That might get some like cinematography or something, or a costume design potentially. But I think Complete Unknown will win, hopefully. But I think realistically, Wicked will probably end up taking that, especially if Timothy Chalamet Ding Dong gets Best Actor.
Here's your award. Take it. Sorry, no best movie. Andy,
Best movie.
who you got?
What are the options again?
Nora, of course, obviously. The Brutalist, A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Amelia Perez, I'm Still Here, Nickel Boys, The Substance, and Wicked.
What is I'm Still Here about? Do we know? Who's in that?
I couldn't tell you.
Ask and you shall receive. It stars Fernanda Torres and Fernanda Montenegro as Eunice Paiva, a mother and activist coping with the forced disappearance of her husband.
Well, yeah, I'm going to go with Complete Unknown then.
If you want to go to the Facebook comments on Facebook for the Academy's page, a lot of people are saying, honestly, all except for Amelia Perez can win it. So there you go.
Now,
Right.
Somebody did make a good comment. I'm surprised Nosferatu isn't in this. Do they have any nods? Do you know? Because I would imagine, is there like a...
Did it
maybe
come
they'll be
out too late?
I think
No,
it would.
because they do have cinematography. So
Yes,
in
they do.
cinematography, it's Nosferatu and Dune Part 2. I had said earlier that I thought Dune would get cinematography, but since Nosferatu's in there, 1000%.
Did you see that?
Nosferatu?
Yeah.
No, but I want to.
Oh,
so
okay. I was like,
bad.
that seems like it's out of your
It
out of your
is.
wheelhouse there.
It 1000% is. I don't mess with horror flicks, or even like thrillers for the most part. But watching those trailers and Lily Depp Rose, her performance has me wanting to see it.
Wow.
And just the way that it's shot, it looks so good. I will put money on that. I think Nosferatu gets cinematography.
Have you seen the original?
No, I've not seen any of those. I truly no idea. But I do.
Nos for one.
Nosfer.
I get it. I see.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah,
I tried pitching a shirt to Jake instead of it being Haktua. I wanted a Nosferatu one where it was like Nosfertua, where it's Nosferatu spitting, but that didn't land. So I'm gonna try it later.
Okay. The original. Andy, have you seen the original? Dude.
The 1920.
Yes. Of course.
Yeah.
It's cool. I mean, even back then, the makeup or the costume. It's iconic. It's cool.
So when
I've
I was
seen
a
it would
kid,
look like. Yeah. Go ahead.
on TV, there was this, I don't know if it was a miniseries or whatever. I believe it was on TV. I caught a little bit. I'm talking like when I was 5 or 6 years old, the TV was on and I was up, and it was a TV movie at the time. Stephen King books, Salem's Lot.
Yes.
And that was on, and there was a character in there that was a bald vampire. I forget what's in there, and that mortified me, scarred me forever. To this day, I was terrified of it. And not that I won't go see Nosferatu or see it here when it comes out, but God, I just remember that bald vampire looking thing.
Terrifying.
Yes.
Big old bat ears.
Oh
Kind of a thing.
God.
Yeah.
Have you seen Bram Stoker's Dracula?
Oh,
Isn't
yeah.
that kind of Nosferatu? Or supposed to be? Or
Well, I think didn't Bram Stoker write a story called Nosferatu, which is basically is it Latin for vampire? It's another language for vampire, I believe.
Let's see.
yeah. Great questions.
Yes.
Couldn't tell you.
Nosferatu, in 1922, A Symphony of Horror, was an unauthorized adaptation of Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yeah. it's cool. The original's cool. But yeah, I'll watch this one again. Horror movies, Count Orlok, in Nosferatu, but horror movies not my thing. But this one I'll watch.
It seems really interesting, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't mess with them, but that's one that just those trailers just I don't know what it is. Just sucked me in, man. I really want to see it.
Did a great job. Yep.
So good. So good.
Let's see. So we've got actress in a leading role, Cynthia Erivo. Am I saying that right?
Sure.
Sure. From Wicked. Carla Sofia Gascon from Amelia Perez. Mickey Madison from Honora. Demi Moore from The Substance. And Fernanda Torres from I'm Still Here. All of those movies were nominated for Best Picture. So it's cool to see Demi Moore on the list.
Yeah, I'd like to see her win.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely would like to see her win. We go to supporting role for an actor, Yura Borisov for Honora, Kieran Culkin for A Real Pain, Edward Norton for A Complete Unknown, Guy Pearce for The Brutalist, and Jeremy Strong for The Apprentice. So we've got those. Again, I haven't seen them, but it'd be cool to see Edward Norton win. I liked a lot of his stuff.
Yeah.
Actress in the supporting role, Monica Barbaro for A Complete Unknown, Ariana Grande for Wicked, Felicity Jones for The Brutalist, Isabella Rossellini for Conclave, and Zoe Saldana for Amelia Perez.
Right.
Yep. So those are your main ones. Disney looks to probably, that's going to be a tough one. Disney looks to add to their already record number of Oscars.
Yeah.
Animated feature film. It's basically Inside Out 2 versus The Wild Robot.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
yep.
I'm surprised Wallace and Gromit got a nod. That's interesting.
Yes. They just needed to fill it out.
They're like, there's another one out there, right? Yeah, Wallace and Gromit. Oh yeah, I forgot about them.
Love those guys.
Right.
But yeah, so Andy, you mentioned it. This for me is a very, I'll say, unwatched Oscars for me. Like I have hardly any experience with any of these. I keep scrolling down, in the categories just to say, okay, yeah, yep. Now I get it. And that's when I saw Inside Out 2, The Wild Robot. But yeah, I'm like, okay, I don't know any of these. Hey, Never Too Late from Elton John for original song. But yeah, that's about it.
Yeah.
I got nothing else for Oscars. Justin,
All right.
final thoughts on the Oscars.
I'm sorry.
Final thoughts on the Oscars.
Yeah, it's definitely not going to be a sweep, but you're going to see Complete Unknown. They're going to be getting quite a bit. I'm really happy with that. Nosferatu has a costume design as well. I think that's going to happen. And I think Wicked will perform pretty well as well.
Andy, final thoughts.
I'll wake up and find out who won.
There it is. There you go. I'll
All
wait till
right.
Facebook to post them, then I'll let you know what my thoughts are.
I have a thought. It's let's have a surprise topic. How does that sound?
Surprising.
Sounds very mysterious.
Hey,
It's late. You can't be doing that, man. Scared me.
it's a dose-parter.
Oh,
That's
like
right.
dude.
Yep.
And Wicked.
Part 2 was brought up just from a comment that Justin made earlier, so it just happened right now.
Oh, you're welcome.
The first one is a little bit of trivia, and if
boy.
either of you get this, I will give you some of Jade's cryptocurrency.
Yes.
Oh,
Nice.
So the question, and we'll go this way with it. So all of the Best Picture nominated movies
Mhm.
were on Rotten Tomatoes 92% or higher.
Okay.
Rated 92% or higher. The question before you is, can either of you give me any of the lowest 3 rated movies on Rotten Tomatoes to win Best Picture?
Ooh. Oh man,
Is this critic score or audience score?
that's a good question.
This is critics score.
That does change. That does change it. What Well, I'm the guest, so I go last. So go ahead, Andy.
Crash.
Crash?
He says Crash. And Crash was number 88 of 97. So not the top three, not the lowest three, but very close. That had a critic score of 73%.
Gun to my head. I don't even think I can name a movie that's won Best Picture. Period. I'm so uninvolved with that.
This, well, the reason I said top three is because, let's see, the newest one of any of them was from 1952.
Oh my God.
Yeah. We've got at number 95, we've got Cecil B. DeMille's The Greatest Show on Earth.
Oh, that was going to be my guess.
Yep.
I knew it. That's why
Ah.
I saw the wheels turn and you were just getting ready to say
I was
it.
just thinking, like, what's some old timey stuff I can think of? Dang it.
Number 96 from 1931 was Cimarron.
Yep. That was a good year.
Wasn't that a character in Lord of the Rings?
That's his brother.
Oh, yeah. That's the Teemo version.
Yep.
It's Sauron and then Cimarron.
Yep. His little
You have Sauron at home.
He wasn't quite as bad.
I think I saw a toy that had a Dollar Tree once.
Yeah, some petty theft.
Not as bad.
He didn't try to take over the realm. He just Dollar Tree's petty.
He was like, "Hey man, my brother's a real jerk, guys. I'm not that bad. Let's just hang out over here. We're cool here."
And of course, the lowest rated movie to win Best Picture according to Rotten Tomatoes.
Citizen Kane.
No, 40. By the way, did not win Best Picture. Considered the greatest movie of all time.
What a snub. That's
to a movie
unfortunate.
called How
We
Green
didn't
Was
revisit
Thy
that.
Valley. There's a little trivia.
Unbelievable.
How Green Was Thy Valley beat out Citizen Kane. From 1929, The Broadway Melody. That's right, folks. The Broadway Melody, according to critics, is interesting as an example of an early Hollywood musical, but otherwise it is essentially bereft of appeal for modern audiences.
This is a worst surprise topic ever.
Also, does Funko even have any cryptocurrency? Did you just loft us like a prize that we can't even win?
Who knows?
Yeah,
Who knows?
so what is this? This is wow.
Here's some that surprised me, guys. Number 86 on the list.
Yes.
Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump is the 86th when it comes to lowest rating to win Best Picture. I did not know that it was not favored by critics.
That's really not that surprising though. What was their beef with it? They think it was insensitive?
They probably thought it was gimmicky.
Yeah.
It's a whimsical odyssey of debatable wisdom.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody watched that movie thought that Forrest Gump was actually involved in all of those events. But I mean, okay.
Then right below it, Braveheart. There's another shot. Well, from
now that I'm thinking about it, I have a poster that has like the top 100 movies of all time. Isn't Forrest Gump on that?
Yes, it is.
And it's still the critically rating. Wow.
Yep.
Wow. What is up with these critics, man? They didn't like Black Sheep. They didn't like Tommy Boy. You can't trust these people.
With the dissatisfaction of this surprise topic.
Yeah, what's the part two?
Exactly. Let's have more. Please have some. Yes, have some. Justin, you made me think of this one.
Okay.
And
so if
Andy,
this sucks, it's your fault.
That seems fair.
Thank you. So, Andy, since you're Mr. Lippy over there, who do you think gave the best performance while performing their own music in a movie? So, as Justin said, Timothy Chalamet did his own recordings of Dylan. So, who you got? Who do you think did the best job?
I got one.
So playing some. Okay, go for it.
I think Joaquin Phoenix, Walk the Line.
Johnny Cash.
I think that was incredible. I think that was such a very convincing Johnny Cash. I had that soundtrack. I loved that soundtrack. I think he was incredible.
Good choice. Good choice.
I think one that comes to mind is probably Gary Busey as Buddy Holly.
I hate you so much.
Was that yours?
Yep.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Dude, that's so good. So good. You ever see the Buddy Holly story, Justin?
Oh,
Dude, Gary Busey
That's before Gary Busey went completely insane.
and became Gary Busey. Yep. Yeah.
what
that was
about I've not seen it, but what about Val Kilmer in that Doors show?
Yep.
He did all that too himself, didn't he?
Yep.
Man, that's actually a great question because I didn't even think about the new Queen, Bohemian Rhapsody. That was pretty incredible. But that wasn't all him singing though, right? Maybe didn't they like do some
Yeah, I mean it was a lot of Queen. There was, I think, some of him.
some of
Yep.
him like dubbed over it or whatever?
But yeah,
I'm still sticking with Joaquin Phoenix.
Gary Busey was mine. Obviously, he did a good job, but for me, it wasn't. Austin Butler did his for Elvis.
Mhm.
One that came to mind for me, and it's not bad, but who he was trying to replicate is the voice is so unique. It was Tom Hiddleston in I Saw the Light. He was Hank Williams. And he did his own. But when you're trying to imitate the original Hank Williams, it's tough because he has that that high and high pitch and just that continual. And the heartache is just there through each of his songs. So
That's what I'm excited about with Complete Unknown because I feel like everybody has a Bob Dylan impression, but I really think it's hard to keep that up and to actually perform and sing that way and act that way. So I'm really, really excited to see it.
So with everybody having one, are you saying that you have your own Bob Dylan
I said
impression?
that everybody had one. I didn't say that everybody's was good. Do you have one, Trev? You're the one that posed it. Do you have one?
No.
Because I think he talks like this.
There you go.
Like a
Yes.
complete unknown. I'm Dylan.
Well done.
Thank you. Thanks. Thank you very much.
Oh man.
Ooh, what's the next topic?
And that's the show.
Man.
We'll just cut here. We are moving right along from the surprise topics
Yes.
to one of Andy's favorites. It's no surprise here because as long as Andy is co-hosting on this show, there 99.9% chance that you'll hear the name Caitlin Clark. And not just hear the name, discuss her. And that's what we're doing now. So the topic we have now is from threes to sweets. I just made that up. I was having trouble. I was trying to figure out a correlation. Anyways, as the Kansas City Chiefs were taking on the Houston Texans, and of course the obligatory pan up to Travis Kelce's suite, where Taylor Swift normally is, who's by her side? Andy, who is by Taylor Swift's side in that in Travis Kelce's box?
One Caitlin Clark.
Holy,
I know it. Yep.
You mean to tell me she's with the most famous person in the world?
She is she's a Taylor Swift fan, but she's a lifelong Kansas City Chiefs fan.
Look at that. So they just happen to coincide.
Yep, and I will be interested to see. I have tickets to the opening game against the Chicago Sky this season. It will be interesting to see because word is Taylor Swift will be at a Fever game at some point this season. So
Jeez.
we'll
That's
see.
So interesting. Who's Caitlin Clark dating? She trying to pick somebody off the team?
Her boyfriend is he played for University of Iowa men's basketball team. He's an assistant coach at Butler University.
Well, until this game, right? Until she was at the Chiefs game, then we'll see what happens.
But yeah, that was kind of cool to see. And while she was hanging out watching football with arguably the most famous person in the world, a lot of the WNBA teammates, other players, were busy in their own 3-on-3 tournament that Caitlin Clark was offered a hefty sum, but decided not to play in it. Doesn't
need that mess.
Yeah. Yep. you don't want to risk injury. You don't, things like that. And she's doing just fine. She's doing okay.
Doesn't need that money.
But I hope, and I'm very excited. The initial viewership was a little bit higher than they were thinking, so it's kind of cool to see. Injuries had some struggles on layups, but so she's working on it. But Caitlin Clark not being there doesn't mean she wasn't practicing. As Andy alluded to earlier, the Fever Instagram had her in the gym shooting 3 after 3 after 3 after 3. So she's in work as well. Justin, your thoughts when you see the power friendship couple of Taylor Swift and number 22?
I mean, that's pretty crazy, right? This whole year, or this past year, was all Caitlin Clark. All Caitlin Clark, if you're talking sports, and then music was all Taylor Swift. So that's pretty interesting. But I think what's more impressive is the fact that Andy knew who Caitlin Clark was dating. Like I thought the whole Caitlin Clark thing was a bit for the show. I didn't realize you were actually super fan. That's incredible.
Not just an act.
Were you just thinking like maybe there's a chance? Let me just see who she's with. I'm going to all these games. Let me just.
No, I think I talked about it on here that it was for years I've had kind of no real interest in the NBA once Michael Jordan retired.
Right.
That was my guy. Just and I think it was on here that I talked about it where anybody who is a sports fan, if you're lucky enough to get that opportunity where you have an athlete that is just like that you get to believe is going, not anything off the court, just strictly on the court, is close to. I mean, I was able to root for a guy that was as close to superhuman in his work that I was ever going to see.
Right.
And every time the guy stepped on the court, I believed the Bulls were going to win. It didn't matter what it was. I always thought this guy was going to pull it out somehow, and more often than not, he did. And ever since then, I watched the NFL, I watched the Bears, but I've never, since Jordan retired, had somebody that I could go ahead and be like, they're just so good at what they do. I mean, Tom Brady, but I'm not I respect what Tom Brady did, and I enjoyed watching him play towards the end of his career. Had a real big respect for that. Peyton Manning, same thing. Real big respect for him and Patrick Mahomes. But, I mean, there's just something about a work ethic, a desire to be the absolute best, somebody that's in the gym an hour after the game's over, that isn't getting ready to go home or, go out to dinner or whatever, but goes back and shoots afterwards because they weren't happy with their performance.
Yeah.
That to me is just something that's next level.
Yeah.
And, that was Jordan. And I see a lot of that in Caitlin Clark in interplay. And that for me is what draws me towards her, because I had absolutely no interest. The WNBA has been around 25 years.
Well,
no interest in that.
In addition to that, I mean, if you find somebody that's resurrecting something that has been around that long, that seems like nobody really cared about, and you're starting to get all this attention to it, then yeah, you're going to be drawn to that. So it makes sense that Caitlin Clark is the one to revive the WNBA, and I'm sure I'll get some crap from people from that, but I mean, it seems true. And obviously, like, I think I'm curious to see how she got into that box. If she was like, hey, tell Taylor Swift I'm here, or if Taylor Swift is just a fan of the Fever and just, I don't know. I'm curious how that worked out, but I mean, I'm cool. I'm glad. I'm happy for him. I don't care.
Yeah, I think it was she was at one of Taylor Swift's shows, one of the indie shows.
Oh, cool.
And word had got around that she was a fan. I think she got the invite from Taylor Swift.
That's super cool.
Yeah, she might have even met her at one of the shows.
Probably. Like, hey, Caitlin Clark's here. Hang out with her. Good on her. Good on them all.
Andy, did I get a ticket to opening?
Not opening. Colleen got them for me.
Okay.
But I'm scoping out the others that are going to be interesting.
you also, as you were talking, you forgot to mention, you talked work ethic. You talked about, somebody that just has that desire. Like you said, she's out shooting after games if she wasn't happy. But I noticed you forgot to mention Lionel Messi resurrecting MLS. So I wanted to know if you wanted to touch base on your fandom over all things Messi.
Soccer sucks.
I was really expecting
Yeah, I mean it
that.
just
I
is.
think, yeah.
And I mean, you've seen the movie Mean Girls. You guys
Yes.
seen that? Yeah. Have you ever
No,
seen
I
Mean
haven't.
Girls?
And my wife is very upset with me, and so now I can't watch it because it's a whole thing.
It's
Oh,
there's a thing in there where one of these girls is trying to make this word happen, like cool or something like that,
Mm.
and the word is fetch,
Mm.
and she uses it all the time. And the popular one of the crew she runs with, a popular girl, is like, stop trying to make fetch happen. It's never going to happen. And that's soccer in the United States. Give me
Yeah.
a break. You got so many other things to watch. Soccer works in the rest of the world because there's nothing to do in some of these spots except roll in the dirt.
Yeah.
And that's why, and if Europe had the NFL, nobody'd watch soccer. It's the same thing.
No.
You kick a ball, you remain scoreless for 3 periods of 6 hours or whatever it is, just like the people who root for it do in life. Remain scoreless.
If it's
Next
any
topic.
consolation, I just found out you kept saying MLS and this Messi guy. I'm like, what the heck is MLS? I first
and
thought it was some joke thing. Like, oh,
Exactly.
Justin sports ball fandom comes to the surface yet again.
that's. I mean, my hypocrisy can only go so far. I mean, what do you want from me?
knows
There's no bounds.
Andy, on a serious note, when you had talked about Clark and her desire to be the best at her sport, one thing I wanted to ask you, you know, for me watching her and listening to you and talking to you about, I see her as and this is not a knock at all. I see her as a Carmelo Anthony, elite scorer, just offensively a weapon at wherever you put them. But Carmelo Anthony, either by choice, by lack of desire, by pure laziness, could not play defense or was at the most at his peak was probably a slight liability on defense. Do you, like, we saw the Instagrams of her shooting? Obviously, you're not gonna the Fever aren't gonna post an Instagram of her moving side to side on the court, going hip in, hip out to to bots out, things like that. Do you think her defense needs to improve as she journeys to be, the best WNBA player, either of her generation or, to get into that Cheryl Swoops, that Candace Parker, that Diana Taurasi?
Well, who's considered the greatest WNBA defender of all time?
Candace steals wise. Well, Griner.
Overall.
I'd say Griner because of her blots and just the coverage that she got.
But NBA, you would say Bill Russell. I mean, everybody kind of knows that the greatest defender is probably Bill Russell.
Yeah, the glove.
Michael Jordan had no problem with the glove. Let me see here. No, I don't think so. I mean, defense is great. Angel Reese, by what I'm hearing, jury's still out because I saw her get taken many times. But some people will tell you she's a great defender. Nobody goes to see the best defender in the league. Man, I can't wait to see some defense out here. They want to go ahead and they want to see 34-foot bombs out there. It remains to be seen. Jordan, that was one of the things that got to him. He wanted to become a better defender instead of being known as just a scorer. So he made a concerted effort to go ahead and work on his defense. We'll see,
Exactly.
we'll see if she gets there.
Yeah, and I think I don't know if it's gonna change people's minds if she's the best or not. But I think that somebody at her caliber should always be looking at bettering her game overall, not just how she's shooting. It should be every aspect of the game. That way, there isn't any argument or any kind of debate whether or not she's the best or not. It's like, well, find somebody that's better,
I-
or at
I-
least it has the drive to be better.
That's one of the things, Andy, you mentioned Jordan, wanting to be the best,
Mhm.
the best, all around. And that's one of the big knocks, obviously, the 6-0, the finals, more finals versus LeBron. But that's also one of the things that comes up when you're comparing the two is how many all defensive teams, defensive player of the year, that Jordan had versus LeBron. And that's, and obviously it all goes to one, talent has to be a part of it. Defensive talent. Obviously, she can shoot. She's got amazing passing talent. She's an amazing guard, but and is she fine with that? If she is, be the best offensive player the league has ever seen, but we are at a time now where Asia Wilson, three-time MVP, two-time defensive player of the year, you're looking at possibly the best WNBA or has a chance of being the best all-around WNBA player of all time.
Mhm. Yeah, she's
You know,
certainly the best player right now.
Yeah, Tamika Catchings,
Which I looked up. Tamika Catchings is considered the best, by many, the best WNBA defender of all time.
Yep.
But before that, you couldn't tell me because that's how much people, you would be able to go ahead and tell me Asia Wilson is up there. And it's not because of her defense, right? She's a fantastic defender, but everybody knows that she's putting up near 30 a game. And that's my point with defense. I mean, you give me the top, you can give me the top 5 all-time NBA players, and how many of the top 5 have won defensive player of the year? 3? Maybe, because Kobe never did.
Yep.
LeBron never did. Jordan did. And then it depends on who else you're putting at the top.
Yeah, Bill Russell, the award wasn't around then.
No, I'd be surprised. It should be named after him. But, so I mean, yeah, I mean it's Dennis Rodman was a defensive specialist, couldn't play offense much at all, but that's not what you got Dennis Rodman for. But at the end of the game, are you ever going to put Dennis Rodman in the top 25 players of all time? Top 50? Right. Probably not.
With that, Caitlin Clark was, there's no problem being the best offensive player the WNBA has ever seen. And if that's, what she's working towards, and not everybody has the capability to do it on both ends. There's only so many Jordans, like you said. Not everybody has that capability. He had that desire, that drive, to fuel his pursuit to be the best player ever, and so
to be the best at everything.
Yeah.
Well, how far into Jordan's career did he get that defenseman?
It was later.
Yeah, so we're still
let's see, defense.
We're still early in Caitlin Clark's career as well, man. There's so much more room for her. I wouldn't be surprised to see it.
Yeah, I mean, I think her defense can improve. Yeah. I think part of the problem is that she had to play nearly, I bet, top 5 in most minutes this season. I'd have to look, but yeah, I don't believe Jordan was first team all defenses first. Let's see, defensive player of the year, 1988. First team didn't. Yeah, so he was in the league almost 5 years before he made the first team.
Yeah, give it time. We'll see. We'll see Caitlin stepping up that defense game.
Yeah, I think. I think what makes where she is so impressive to me is there's very few people that live up to the hype. When the hype is that big. LeBron lived up to the hype. It's hard. It's hard to, carry that much. One of the things about Clark, she's scored the most Division I basketball points, men or women, in college history. I mean, that's crazy. And to go in and live up to the hype, and I mean they're throwing defenses at her that nobody's ever thrown at a player. Nobody has ever been defended like she was this season in there, and it's because nobody wanted to get embarrassed by her. She's her 3-point range. She shot on average a deeper 3-point ball than anybody in both leagues. Steph Curry was second, and she was shooting. Her average distance on 3-pointers was further than him this season.
Wow.
I mean, this is just stuff you don't see, and this is her being guarded down the floor. They pressed her in an all-star game.
Yep.
I mean, that's it's crazy. So, I mean, just the amount of energy you have to exert to go ahead and break a press and be face guarded down the court for 40 minutes a game, whatever it is, 38 minutes a game is a lot. She went from playing college basketball to professional basketball for between her senior year and the WNBA season, almost a full year straight, with a 3-week break in the Olympics and a 3-week break between the draft and when the Fever started playing. So, 6 weeks off and almost a year straight at playing a high level basketball, that'll put some wear and tear on you for the season. So I'm glad to see her not playing unrivaled. I'm glad to go ahead and see a full off season of rest and see what she comes out with. But yeah, right now the Achilles heel would be defense for her. But we'll see.
Yeah. Yep. And you look at, I just pulled up ESPN's top 25 greatest WNBA players. And to your point, they had Diana Taurasi, number one. Taurasi, average defender, amazing score. It was amazing score, amazing guard. Number two is Tamika Catchings. And in their statement, Diana Taurasi is the best offensive player in WNBA history, but Tamika Catchings is the most complete basketball player we have ever seen. And so, you look
at rank number 2.
Yep, because
people love offense.
Yep. And
and Taurasi's one of those ones that is just, she'll rip your heart out if to win the game. She's that type of player.
Yep, and she has the LeBron effect, the longevity. There are people that have scored more, that have averaged more in a season. There are people that have won more awards, but like ESPN talks about is, Taurasi hasn't won the most championships. She hasn't won the most MVPs, but it is her consistent offensive greatness and her longevity that set her apart from her peers, and it, like you said, people love offense. Me, I want that complete player. I want both sides, if you want to be considered that, but to each their own. Caitlin Clark is going to be amazing. She's going to win MVPs, barring catastrophic
injury. Yeah,
she's going to win MVPs. Bide your time. Aja Wilson is 30.
And I think one of the other things is, with Caitlin is the fact she's not the best athlete out there. She's not the fastest. She's not, some people say she's not the best ball handler, but I tell you what, I saw her lose plenty of people going to the rack. So we'll see. I mean, I think any great feeds off of people telling them they can't do something.
Yeah, and to see her progress through the season, to cut down on turnovers as the season went along. And that's what you want. You want your players to get better, either in season or season to season. And right now, everybody can agree. You and I have talked about it. You and I and Ord have talked about it. Aja Wilson, right now, heads and tails above anybody else in the league. She's 28. Caitlin's got plenty of time, to get there. But who knows? Aja Wilson could call it quits at 30, at 29. She could keep going. Who knows? But Caitlin Clark is going to be just fine in the WNBA. She will be A-okay.
If I can just say one more thing.
Yeah.
Next time you're on, Justin, are those cowls real? Could you wear one?
You want me to put one on right now?
I'd love it.
All three of them are, yeah.
Please.
Oh, Batfleck?
Batfleck, baby.
All right. Yeah.
There you go.
I've been staring at those for a while, and I thought,
All of them. I got Keaton, I got Batfleck, and I've got Pattinson.
right.
Over there.
All right.
we go.
All right. See, when we're doing video, this pays off. Audio, oh my God. this is the highlight of the episode. Can you hear anything?
This is
Can
awesome.
you hear anything?
Oh yeah, I can hear you.
This is the best. Okay, now ask him your question.
How Bruce Wayne, how many
Batman. I'm not Bruce Wayne.
how many Fever games will you be attending this year to see Caitlin Clark?
If they're at night, I have justice to do. So probably won't be attending any games this season. But Batman, big fan of Caitlin Clark. Love what you're doing.
Oh my God.
I was talking to my butler, Alfonso, and big fan. He loves it.
He said if they're at night, I have justice.
There's justice on the court with Caitlin Clark and Justin in the city with Batman.
I am sending a picture I just took of the screen to Snakes.
To see what he's missing.
Wow. Fantastic. Oh,
It's
man.
great, isn't it?
I love it.
It's fantastic.
All right, moving
Come on over and we'll put on the other ones too. That's fun. We'll make it a whole night.
We go over there and we need to do a show from there, and all three of us have a
Oh my God.
we are moving on, unfortunately.
You want
I've
some
been
Star Wars
staring
too?
at those.
That as well. What else
Yeah.
you want here?
Oh, Poe Dameron.
That one's a bit snug.
Probably hard to put the ears on.
How
Muffs are on.
sexy are these helmets? We want to take you to. We've talked movies, we've talked sports, we've talked a little bit of music. We're going to talk some more music. There've been a couple big announcements, and Andy's been good enough to show me some Instagram from Boz Lerman. But we've got some music news. Apparently, Elvis has not left the building.
Oh.
He put out on Instagram that
Elvis did not.
Not Elvis, no. Boz did that during the filming and the of the Elvis movie and research and all that they came across some what had been rumored to be lost footage of Elvis, and from the clip on Instagram, obviously a lot of it was from the two residencies at Vegas in the 70s, and it's awesome. It's supposed to be released this year on the, I think it said on the big and small screen. I'm stoked. You guys know me, huge Elvis fan, and there's always been rumors. Priscilla alluded to it, Lisa Marie alluded to it, that the archives at Graceland had talked about it. There's quite a bit of footage. There's discrepancies on lost tracks, but footage, there's always been rumors of footage that hadn't been released, footage that was lost, but Boz found some, and they'll be releasing it, and I'm really, really excited about that. And that's what I wanted to talk about first is if you guys, if there was lost footage of an artist or, lost tracks, who would you want to hear more of? And Justin, I want to start with you now that that Batman guy, you ran him off.
Yeah, I don't know who that was. I turned around and he was gone. It's very frustrating. I don't know.
He is the knight.
Yeah, he's the knight.
Lost tracks or lost footage, maybe concert footage or whatever. Who would you want it to be?
Probably my favorite artist would be Prince. I mean, hands down. I mean, that was one thing I remember when he was still alive, is that you would hear these rumors about this vault, the secret, mysterious vault that was at Paisley Park, and about how all this music was in there that would never see the light of day. But his estate has slowly been releasing that. And I'm telling you, man, when I see a notification from Spotify that there's a new Prince thing out, I'm all over it. So 1000% would be Prince.
Andy, lost track.
Absolutely Amy Winehouse.
Yep.
Oh, that's a good pick. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's for me, I mean, there's just not a lot out there.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I've if I haven't seen it all, I'm seeing a strong 95%
hmm
of everything that's out there.
Now Justin and I both talked about rumors. Justin talked about rumors of the vault at Paisley Park, and me rumors from interviews, listening to Lisa Marie and Priscilla, and the archives. Are there any rumors or anything out there that you know of from people close to the Amy Winehouse estate? Has that ever been mentioned? Has
So,
unrecorded or unfinished?
so there were supposedly vocal tracks with the record company that the president of the company supposedly destroyed when she died, from the standpoint of it was one of those things that I don't know if he said that he had an agreement with her. It seemed like a weird thing to agree upon when you're in your 20s, saying, "Hey, if anything happens to me, destroy the stuff I don't want to get out." Um,
Why would it matter if you're dead?
and
It's,
I think the thing was is that I want to say that he said that she was so involved in her music getting made, anything being finished that wasn't by her wouldn't
Mm.
really be her music anyway. They
Okay.
kind of did that with the posthumous release called Lioness that was um, Lioness that was put out after she passed away. It had um, some demo recordings that were finished by the producers
Yeah.
that worked with her, Salam Remy and then Mark Ronson, um, finished them off. But they were they were her voice, but the arrangements and whatnot weren't with her
Yeah.
being involved. Um, so that's what I've heard. Whether they were actually destroyed or not, or whether they'll hear the light of day, who knows?
It's so interesting. I always think about like with Prince, I don't necessarily want to hear songs that he recorded, but everybody knows that all the rooms in his house were constantly recording. So that way, if he got inspiration when he was in the hallway or whatever, he would just start singing and it'd be recorded. I think it'd be really fun to hear just some of his thoughts as he's, standing in the kitchen or whatever. And all of a sudden he starts belting out, even if it's just a small clip. That'd be
Yep.
so interesting to hear him like try to workshop whatever popular song it would be.
Yeah. Again, and it's these musical um, geniuses that
Mhm.
do stuff like that don't even occur to people like us, right?
We
Uh,
should be recording every single room where we're just walking around and be like, Rudimentary episode 47. Write
just
this
yell it
down.
out.
Yeah, just doing it right now. I'm in the bathroom thinking about Andy for some reason. I just couldn't get my thoughts out.
Oh no!
Oh, the but yeah, I mean, you hear stories like of that all the time. I mean, one of my favorites, of course, being a Stones fan, was it was in Chicago and in the '60s, and um, Keith Richards um, passes out from drinking, and he wakes up the next day, and the reel to reel is spinning.
Oh no.
It's spinning, and he's like doesn't remember anything, so he goes and he winds it back up, and he was playing that night before he passed out from this whiskey bender, and the riff for Satisfaction
Oh,
was on that reel to reel. He said he never
it's
even remembered playing it, and had that not been recording, that very well could have never been that riff. One of the all-time best riffs in the history of music
how
could have.
incredible that is.
Yep.
And for me, with the Elvis stuff, it's exciting to see him. There were two documentaries made of his residencies. There was Elvis on tour and Elvis That's the Way It Is, and a lot of it, was footage. Some of it was staged rehearsals. Separate Ways was on there, but seeing that there is stuff that had been
Mhm.
talked about for years. Elvis has been uh, gone for almost 50 years now, 47 years, and or has he?
Well, apparently he's in the building, so
There's
Yeah, he's not
um,
left the building.
yeah, he has not left. But to know that this could be all, whatever is left, a little bit they found, or to even allow myself to think, hey, this could be the start of, a
Yeah.
little bit more, like you said, Prince's estate is slowly releasing stuff. To hear an Elvis unreleased track or an unfinished, something like that, that for me would be awesome. And we had it, what was it, 20 years ago, Andy, Free as a Bird, the Beatles, when they, and the stir that caused,
Mhm.
when they finally finished it and released it after they found it, uh, that's what I would liken it to, would be something like
Yeah,
that.
the
I'll give you
Beatles just did
something.
that 2 years ago.
That's
What was it,
right.
Andy?
The Beatles just did that 2 years ago.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'll give you something recent as well, and that was the Summer of Soul festival. That was that doc that dropped that Questlove
Yep.
produced. Where the guy thought this whole recording that everybody was thinking this festival didn't happen. This wasn't legit. And then you find all these recordings that were just in some guy's
Isn't that
basement.
crazy?
It's insane, and it
Yeah.
sounds so good, man. It's such a great show. But I mean, to know that there's potentially more of that of artists that we love, it's beyond exciting.
Yes. And speaking of artists that we love, Andy's a huge fan. The other topic of our music news is the Little Monsters Go Gaga.
Mm.
And she was it last week that she put the timer
Yeah,
on her
there's a
website?
countdown clock on our website.
Yep. And what's that for, Andy?
I believe it'll probably be for the track list and name of what everybody's referring to now as LG7, her 7th studio album.
Mm.
So yeah, good times for a fan. One of the things that I like doing is
Watching Caitlin Clark?
I do like that.
Okay.
There's good video right there. There's a
That's cool.
Dude, that's awesome.
one day. So
One day.
yeah, 1 day, 9 hours. So what, tomorrow at midnight-ish? No? So noon Monday, something like that.
Dude, Monday. Yeah.
Um, is when albums release. I don't know if where you guys are at this, but when albums release, some artists will go ahead and sell autograph copies on their website.
Yeah.
You get pre-orders in, and the Lady Gaga autograph I have is from her last album. $20.
Wow.
A signed copy of it. So I'll go looking at artists that have stuff coming out. I'm not the biggest fan in the world, but I'll pick up these autographed sleeves of CDs and whatnot for
Right.
I've got a picked up you guys remember Nelly Furtado?
Yeah.
Got one of hers again, $20. It's whatever the things are selling for on there. But yeah,
So
keep
good.
your eyes out for stuff like that. Coldplay did it. I'm not a Coldplay fan, but they on their last album, there was, what, $20 for the CD, and the whole band signed the.
It's so great. It's one of my
Yeah.
favorite things. I've done that with a couple different artists. Rainbow Kitten Surprise, my favorite band. Same thing. I found an autographed thing for Sharon Jones on Macari. Picked up that. Yeah. It's
Nice.
great. It's fantastic.
Yep. So good to go hunting for some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Andy forgot to mention his signed copy of Orange Crush by REM.
Yeah, that one I gotta get that one framed.
Quick backstory: Orange Crush. We would gather at Andy's house, or myself, our buddy Brandon, and rock band nights. Dude, we would play rock band for hours.
Mm-hmm.
And might have been Rock Band 3 or whatever.
It was the first one.
Was it? You could do a career mode.
Oh no, that was 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
You could do a career mode, and it would just randomly, pick songs as you go from
City to city.
Yes. Anytime Orange Crush by REM came on, the three of them Andy or Brand didn't matter. They would quit. We'd lose that city. Because they would just quit the
That
game.
and green grass and high tides.
Oh, but that was yes, because that was just ridiculous to play. And then any Nirvana song for Ort.
Ort can't stand Nirvana.
I was really nervous. You're talking about REM. I'm like, God, I hate REM so much.
Yeah,
Like, please, I'm trying to gain ground with you guys, and you're going to talk about a signed copy of REM.
No,
Shoot me in the head. Ugh.
I embrace all hate.
Yeah.
Yes.
If there's hate out there, even if it's aimed at what I like, I love it.
I was going to unload some, but I was waiting to see where this
by all
conversation was
means.
headed first.
By all means.
Oh my.
Yeah, I love to hate, and I would not want someone to miss out on the warmth that hate brings.
Instead of hate, I'll bring some love. Your Rock Band nights, those were so much fun. I remember when Ort had his apartment downtown, and we would go, and I remember playing Rock Band with you guys. It was so much fun.
Yep. Or I could just imagine being underneath him at that apartment. The drums. Yep.
Yeah, dude, it was great. And Brandon would just be the quiet man. That song would come on, he wouldn't say anything. Start, pause, quit, boom. And that was not a word.
Awesome.
Oh man. All right. So we are moving on to our final couple of topics. We are moving to one of our regular topics on every show. It is our Pondering Peeps draft. And this draft was thought up by our guest. So just I will let you explain the topic, and then more importantly, pick who goes first. So please.
Oh, that's fun. So the topic that I threw out there came from watching the Barrett and Jackson auction. So little memorabilia piece that I was really interested in was the 67 or 66, 67 Batmobile went to auction. Third production one sold for I think it was $425,000.
Were you the winning bidder?
Andy buy that?
I was so close. I had 415 in, but I'm like, I can't justify another 10.
Yeah, if it was production one, maybe.
Then yeah.
We'll just go up to there's a place in Logansport where the guy is licensed to do replicas, and I got a couple pictures, dude.
Yeah, I've read about that guy.
Oh, he's got a museum now as well, right across the street. We'll have to go up there because it's so cool, man. Loved it. But anyways, that was up for auction, and then also the Batcopter was also sold.
From the movie?
From the movie, with the shark repellent.
Yes, the
that exact one. I don't remember what number, if it was the one that was used in the movie, but it's that. But that was horribly damaged. But that sold for $30,000, and so it got me thinking, like, what item from a show or any kind of collectible item would you want if money were no objection? So you could just go to an auction. Items were up there. You had unlimited money. What were the items that you would bid on? And I think since Trav's always the host, he never gets to go first. I think Trav should start us off.
My number one would be the Eagle jumpsuit from Aloha from Hawaii.
Cool.
It was either that or the 56 gold lame jacket that he was in. So you had either one, but both are iconic. But that one, the Eagle jumpsuit, would be my number one for obvious reasons. Huge fan, and just one of his most iconic looks. So
cool.
Easy.
So cool. That means it's me then? Who's next? Me?
You decide.
Oh, I decide?
Yeah.
I'll go next. So item that I would want, and I think it'd be the coolest thing ever, would be the Big Lebowski's robe. The original Pendleton.
OG.
The OG. I think that'd be so cool to have that just... I'd probably wear it, honestly. I would tell myself I need to frame it, but if I could just throw on that little cardigan that the dude would wear, oh, man. That'd be so cool. It'd be so cool to have. Andy.
You did two, Andy. Number 3
it's
overall, and then snake draft.
Wow. Oh boy.
Any item.
God, that's a broad broad range of things.
Yeah.
I probably would want the first pair of Jordans that MJ wore in an NBA game.
Oh man.
That would
So cool.
probably be right up there at the top of my list. The next thing would probably be probably handwritten lyrics to Tears Dry on Their Own by Amy Winehouse. That would be
It'd be super cool.
Yep.
Very cool.
All right, Justin, back to you.
Mine.
Pick 2.
Oh man, I think it'd be so cool. I have the cows, so I would want probably Adam West from the movie, specifically the movie, his Batman costume. I would love to have a Batman costume, and I specifically want the Adam West era Batman costume. Would be the coolest thing to have on a mannequin down here.
And
So
you would wear that as well. Just like,
yeah, we think I'm a monster. Of course I'm gonna wear that. What else do you think I'm gonna do with it? Just stare at it? No way.
This thing's going on, baby.
Valentine's Day, you can bet your sweet hiney that bad boy's coming on. Zero questions, my friend. You, sir, finish this up.
All right, so end of round 2. This one is out there. I have seen it. I have held it. It would be the microphone that is at Sun Studios that Elvis used, and so many after that. So guys like Jerry Lee Lewis, Johnny Cash, Roy Orbison from the early days. The mic is still there. You can see it. You can hold it. I've got a picture with, actually, it was another thing my daughter made. Might be tough to see, but
that's super cool.
Yep, there we are holding the microphone in Sun
That is
Studios.
very cool.
But yeah, that would be mine. Just to think of everybody who has sang into that, the music history that was made using that mic would be it. And then my last one, so the start of round 3, in this one, I actually had a bid in for at an auction. This was probably, I want to say, 12, 15 years ago. And this goes back to memories with my dad. But it was I forget what kind of code it was. It was, let's see. Andy, you may know.
Might need a little bit more information to help you out with that.
It was the lawn coat that Sherlock Holmes wore in the original movies, the 40s. I forget what the name of it is, but it was Basil Rathbone's coat and Deerstalker hat that he wore in the 1940s series, and one of them that he wore during filming. And I had a bid on it. I think of $1,200, which back then was almost all of my savings. There would have been some credit cards used, but needless to say, I did not get it. But it surprised me. It at end of auction, I think it went just under 2,000. But again, it not a lot of people know that series. 13 movies, but for me, that was Sherlock Holmes. Was Basil Rathbone. I grew up with it. From my dad telling me about it, my dad and I watching the VHS tapes of The Women in Green, Terror by Night, The Secret Weapon, and to be able to actually have a bid and be leading for a while, and then coming to the realization that, all right, with the cash I have saved in the bank and the very small limit on this credit card, I still don't have enough money to go past 1,200 and to watch it flutter away. But yeah, that would be it. And that's kind of cool because when you thought about, or when you brought up this topic, that's immediately what I thought about was
so cool.
that one of my pieces I actually had a bid on. And I was
that's crazy.
That's cool, man.
So Justin, back to you, and then Andy finishes it up.
Oh, back to me again? Oh, heavens. Okay. I think I would want,
Rough.
and this one isn't super old, but I think it'd be a pretty cool one that I would bid on and I would win. Would be David Tennant as the Doctor. I would want his sonic screwdriver, man.
Oh.
I would think that'd be super cool to have on the shelf. That's one of my favorite Doctors. I love Classic Who. I love Matt Smith as a Doctor, but David Tennant was the one that really sucked me in, and I think it'd be really cool to have his sonic. That'd be really cool to have on the shelf.
Yeah, that would.
Yeah, right?
Cool. That's a good call. Plus, it's an iconic prop.
Yeah,
You know,
it'd be one I would just have on the shelf, and I'd be wearing my Batman costume, and I'd grab that just to really make the internet angry.
Yes.
Feel the hate, Andy.
Yeah.
The hate.
You know,
Draw
right?
that one.
Yep.
Andy, wrap it up.
I will go with Keith Richards' Telecaster that he's played for since the early 70s. Played it a lot on Exile on Main Street, uses it touring. You've seen the thing, Travis, because he plays it. It's his number one guitar in shows, but he's played it on every album since Exile on Main Street. It was actually given to him by Eric Clapton.
Wow.
It's a Telecaster, an early 50s Telecaster, and named after a character in Charles Dickens' David Copperfield, just kind of a side character. But it's named it Macabre. It's a butterscotch Telecaster.
Wow.
The autographed picture I have of Keith Richards is he has that guitar.
I know that picture. Yeah.
So, yep, that's what I'd like to have.
Do you know how to play the guitar?
Not well.
That'd be incredible. Take lessons. You're bringing that guitar in.
It's funny because the guitar I have is a butterscotch Telecaster.
Look at that.
Yep.
Look at that.
Yep.
And to top it all off, next show he'll be doing a live guitar session. He will actually be playing the intro to Satisfaction.
That's great.
I will play the guitar on the 50th subscription.
Fantastic.
There it is.
I have an acoustic guitar that I'm learning how to play, so we'll do a little duet.
All right.
We'll do a little something.
All right. So
You heard it here, folks.
tell your friends.
Yep. This
Not
is
too quickly. Not too quickly though. Tell 45 of your friends. Give me some time.
Didn't we have another like at 50? Didn't we we were gonna play a game of lawn darts or something as
It's gonna be an
well?
incredible episode. That
Yes.
episode's gonna be glorious.
It is. Should we play guitar before the lawn darts?
Yeah.
During.
There's a good chance somebody's not going to make it through the entire episode.
We're gonna be doing it during it. That way you're hooked up to an amp, so I don't have to run as far.
In the rain.
In the rain, like for
Like Prince. Excellent. That was an extremely fun draft. These drafts are always fun. I mean, it's great because it brings to light some things you would never think of, and it made you think about them. You know, like for me, it was which Elvis outfit do I choose?
Well, you're welcome.
What a guy.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Guy. Sports ball fanatic and a thinker.
What can I say? Whole package.
Time to think more because Justin, you're first.
All right.
We are going to wrap up our episode as we always do with our Your Playlist Sucks, You Can Borrow Ours. Again, the premise behind this is every week or every show we pick a song and we upload it on our Spotify playlist of the same name and our Apple Music playlist of the same name. And you guys can follow along with the playlist each time we add it. And it's just fun. The playlist keeps getting longer and longer. Some things you'll love, some things you may not, and some things you probably haven't heard of.
Yep.
Justin, which way is it going? Will people love it? Will people not? Will people have never heard of this? Which one?
I think people are going to, I don't want to say love. Love is a strong word. I think they're going to like it, and I don't think they've heard of it. So typically I try to be the happy medium because I know Funko comes in pretty heavy with some pretty crazy stuff.
Oh my Lord.
But this week, I'm going to pull a Trav. I'm going to go back to August of 1964. We're going to be playing a song that I don't think people really knew was a cover. It is J. Frank Wilson and the Cavaliers, their cover of Last Kiss. I think that
Wow.
is such a great song. Every time people talk about Pearl Jam's is obviously fantastic.
But
And I know that Wayne
it's not
Cochran has the original,
yes.
but just that J. Frank Wilson version is so good. I have a sweet spot in my heart for 60s music, and I just absolutely adore that song.
Dude, that is a solid pick.
It's a great song, man.
We were talking Discogs, and I found a copy, but it had the description was great, but it had a deep scratch in it.
Oh,
And so
and
I've
you
been
know that's going to be on Last Kiss too, just because.
oh yeah, that's the way it works.
Yeah,
But yeah, that's one of the ones I've been looking for. I love that song, and like you said, I don't mind the Pearl Jam one, but just the way J. Frank Wilson, it's more of him literally, telling you what happened. Whereas
right.
Pearl Jam, they're singing the song to you.
Well, it's the same song, but it's also a completely different song in how J. Frank Wilson's version. I mean, even just that it's sped up and it's just. I don't know. I think it's more catchy. I think people would appreciate that one more. You guys already love the Pearl Jam one. Who are we lying here? Check out this version. I think you guys are gonna like it. It's a fun little thing to throw
Well
on.
done. Well
Great.
done.
Thanks.
Andy, you good?
Yeah.
What do you got?
Well, I'm gonna go with something that more recent, but not too recent. More recent than 1964.
That's fair.
And it's because tonight we watched a movie that I'd seen before, but my wife hadn't.
Oh,
Baby Driver.
oh, I watched that literally yesterday. Such a great movie, man.
It is a fantastic movie.
Oh.
And I'm gonna go with a song called Know How by Young MC. And
So
just
good.
it's perfectly used in the scene. It just is like it's got some of the best recent car chase and going on in that film, and that music is such an important part of that movie. And it that just I love that scene when that and I heard that and I'm like, yeah, that's got to be it.
It's so good, man. That movie, we need to do a watch along with that because I love that movie so much.
Have you seen Baby Driver, Trev?
I have not.
Oh, to be in your position to watch Baby Driver. Okay, this is the thing. You guys are coming to my house. We're putting it on the projector. We're watching it. Okay.
All right. I'm in.
So incredible. The use of the bell bottoms. That's the opening scene. Just do yourself a favor. Look up Baby Driver opening scene and just watch that. It is fantastic. Oh.
Yeah, it is. You will be pleasantly surprised.
I like surprises.
The music deep dives. It's great.
Yeah,
it's got The Damned on it. Neat. What else do you need? That's all you need to know.
J. Frank Wilson. That's what else I need.
Yeah, that's fair.
This has enough. That was the next track, but they had to cut down the runtime.
Yeah. During the car crash scene was Last Kiss. But they thought it was too big of a downer.
Yep.
All right. To wrap it all up, I think this might be a first that my choice isn't the oldest.
What?
Yeah. Yep. I'm gonna take you back to December of '72.
So you tried.
You tried so hard.
You were defeated.
Batman.
I'm not really left-handed. How about that?
Why are you laughing? Because I know something you do not. For me, and I don't mean to bring it down, but I was reflecting today on my 2.5 hour drive down to see my daughter perform and back, and in a couple weeks she'll be 18. My baby girl will be an adult by age. She's more of an adult than I am already, so that's no big stretch. But I was, got me reminiscing of things like that, and a song that I've been listening to a lot because I love the voice and the message of the song. It kind of rings true, and it's "Goodbye Comes Hard for Me."
I don't want to cry tonight.
by Merle Haggard and the Strangers. And the song is basically, and I lived it with my daughter's mom, and some of the lyrics are, he talks about going to see her at her house, and he talks about Angie, the daughter. Angie's bike needs fixing. That all takes time, you see. Or another line is, I must have dropped my comb somewhere, and it's just him trying to stay around his family for a little longer. The bedroom door needs fixing, and the walls need painted too. He's trying to figure out all these things he can do to stay, around them longer. And it got me thinking, and I'm like, I can relate, and when my daughter was younger, and when it wasn't my time, I would have my daughter every weekend, but it wasn't my time, I would go and, whether to pick her up or drop her off. And when I knew I was dropping her off, I'd always try to stay a little bit longer. Hey, do you need me to fit something? You need me to grab something? You need me to do whatever? But also, Merle Haggard was, if I remember right, the first concert I ever saw. My dad took me to see Merle Haggard at the Embassy. And so, yeah, those kind of two tie-ins come into it for me. But if you haven't heard one, again, if you don't want to be sad, don't listen to it. But it's a great song. And I've been on a country kick lately, so good stuff.
Yeah, well done.
I mean, mine was about a car crash and somebody dying, so I think we already brought it down, but that's all right.
Yeah, and then Andy went Young MC. So.
Yes.
And then you brought us back down. So there we go. Wow. Motions are weird tonight, guys. This is very strange. I need to put the Batman cowl back on. I got to bring it back up. How do we turn this around?
Well, folks, that is the end of episode 19. It's been fun. It's always good to get back and record and to talk with friends about, everything from Caitlin Clark to all the best picture nominees that we haven't seen. I believe it's one that we've seen, and it's Justin, Dune Part 2. So
yes,
there it is.
Being the winner, Justin, of seeing the most.
Thank you.
Yes, well done.
Thank you. Be sure to find us on YouTube. We're on Facebook and Instagram as well. Like and subscribe to the podcast. That's all you got to do. You've heard some promises of lawn darts being played in the rain while someone's hooked up to an electric guitar. Glorious. And someone's walking away with an acoustic guitar. So there's all kinds of interesting things to see.
Who knows what's going to happen?
At least subscribe to episode 50. That's going to be worth it. Then after that, we'll discuss afterwards.
We'll see what happens there. So make sure to like, subscribe, so you guys get notifications as to when we come out. Doing the Roodimentary podcast is just fun. It's friends talking, just like we would if we were in front of each other or on a group chat. So we're going to take its final thoughts. You've already heard mine. Andy, your final thoughts for this episode.
Normally, I'll say something about putting your shopping cart away.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to break tradition. Don't be a douchebag. Put your shopping cart away.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. Yep. When you've got a great rhythm and a great message, why change?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Justin, as our guest, you get to finish up. Final thoughts.
Okay. I'll piggyback off of Andy. So I think don't litter. All right. Just say, don't litter. Don't be that guy.
No.
And more importantly, while you're putting your cart back, before you even get into the parking lot, do us all a favor. If you're in a small car, don't pull all the way up. Pull back a little bit.
Oh, look at that spot.
Look at that spot
up front.
I'm going to pass this spot because there's one up front. No, there's not, because there's a guy driving a smart car that wants to touch the line at the top. Don't be that guy. I'm a pacifist. I don't believe in violence unless you're parking all the way up and you're driving a motorcycle, taking a whole parking spot.
And then you go back to get the one that you saw, and it's gone.
And then that's
somebody smiling as they pull in because they do.
This is a family-friendly podcast, so we got to change because I'm getting hot. Let's go back to talking about sad stuff.
All right, guys. That's it. Thanks for tuning in. It's been real. It's been fun. It's been real fun on Roodimentary episode 19, and we'll see you real soon.